Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 4th, 2022 at approximately 7:52 a.m. PST. Well, we have discovered something rather intriguing. As you know, society itself has taken a massive turn for the worse. Okay, it's been a long drawn out process to get that far, to go that direction. But it's done it. Okay. In all fairness, that means you've let it happen. We spent our life. Okay. Everybody has spent their life watching this society collapse. I refuse to believe that I'm the only one that saw it coming. Okay. But we look at the whole situation. The educational system has collapsed completely. People are being released from school not knowing how to do the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, they just don't have it. Now, I can't really blame the kids for it because the teachers are doing it. Now are letting this happen. Now, we can look at that and go, the teachers have their hands tied. That I have a bit of a problem with. I do understand they take orders from the upper people. And that in and of itself is where the problem is. Not the system, the people in the system. Okay. Now, there's not a person that is alive. There's not an entity in existence that doesn't have some input into this. Okay, it is a mutual disconnection that has caused this problem. But the people that are when we're dealing with just the humans, okay, they've been taught in a certain fashion. And if you're not taught how to deal with things, then you're going to repeat the same path. If that's your only option, that's what you're using. Now, and I shouldn't say if it's your only option so much as if it's the only option you can see, you're pretty much hamstrung. Now, the educational system has done this. The political system has done this. And the religious system has done this. Now, I've spent a lot of years trying to find something that was very elusive for me. I was looking for peace of mind. Now, that said, I've had my bouts with depression and what have you. Not that I told a whole lot of people about it. Had my run-in with drugs and alcohol. But I'll tell you, I discovered something in just a couple of days ago. Maybe a week or so back. Okay. And I figured out that the big thing that I had to come to terms with was not how to fit into this society. And the thing you've got to realize is you don't have to fit into society. You have to be accepted you don't have to accept and be accepted by society. You have to be accepted by you before you will ever be accepted by society. Because if you don't accept you, you undoubtedly are going to look at any compliment somebody pays you, and you're going to wonder what they want. Okay, this is the way society seems to have devolved. Everybody's after something. Okay, now, you may ask, well, what am I after? Why am I doing this if everybody's after something? Okay, well, in my case, it's a little bit selfish, in one sense. Now, I returned to this world for one primary purpose. I returned to pass on a very simple message to people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, that's the big picture. And Lord knows I've tried to get out of this a number of times. Not suicidally, just totally disconnecting from people. Okay. But I came to the understanding that the problem I was having was that I was not accepting where I was. Okay, I kept trying to find a way to fit into this world. The reality is, I'm not going to. I don't think the same way as other people. Okay, I have a very different outlook on life. And in all fairness, as I've explained before, my life is more science fiction than anything else. But when you come to the point that you realize that you're the one you have to make sure is content with you, That's where things change. Now, I mentioned I was going, I've talked, can we try one thought? I mentioned I was going to be altering a lot of things around me. Well, the length of my hair right now is the shortest it's been in 14 years. Yeah, pretty much. At least 13. But I finally decided that that's okay. I was ready to deal with it, so I dealt with it. Okay, I was absolutely stunned to find out that last month on the 23rd of January, I was at 214 without really changing a whole lot except my mindset. I was happy to find out this morning I was 208.8 pounds. Okay. Now that for me is just a staggering drop. Okay, in case you haven't figured that out, that's just over 4 pounds. Now, I've been dropping a pound and a half, a pound to a pound and a half a week, right, for the last couple of months. And then all of a sudden it just drops the 4 pounds, i.e. 2 pounds a week. But the reality is I'm not looking. I used to get bored. I'd get bored, so I'd eat something, or I'd get tired, so I'd eat something. You change your mindset. You come to terms with who you are, and you won't have that drive to try and hide it. Okay, now some people have been known to use food as a protective shield, because society says if you're overweight, then you're not healthy, you're not attractive. Okay, now, admittedly, I find somebody that is slender or in physically better shape more attractive than somebody that isn't. But that's not the real issue here. The real issue is what society says about you. Now, I took a look in the mirror. The worst I got to was 246. And I decided I was not breaking 250. Well, almost a year ago, I got down to just over 205. And then I started to climb again. And I don't know entirely how that happened, what triggered it. But I hit just about 219, or maybe 219, and went, I am not breaking 220. Okay, and the net result was I am now down here. It comes down to a point of taking a look in the mirror and going, are you content with you? If you are, this is great. If you're not, then it's time to start changing the things that you're not content with. Now, your education, yes, it's nice to have an education. It's nice to have a degree, have a letter or a degree that says other people think you know what you're doing. I was talking to a businessman one day, and he was very well educated. He showed me a business card that had 4 lines of degrees. Okay. He had spent most of his life in school going after degree upon degree. He had 4 lines of degrees and certificates on this one card. And he says, I just wanted to talk to you about this. He says, I want to show you something. He pulls out his business card, shows it to me. And he goes, I've got 3 others just like this at home with other degrees on them. But he says, let me understand something. And this is something very important for both the people that have the degrees and the people that don't. The way this guy put it, the only thing that those degrees actually tell you about somebody is that they had a good memory at the time they took the test. Now, granted, some of these people, and most of you that have degrees, most of you are still using them. And because you're still using them, that information that you learned is still being implemented. Okay, but just like riding bike, if you're not using those tools, those degrees, you're going to lose track of some of the information. Okay, so for the people that have degrees, the majority of you are doing absolutely fantastic, but I've run into a lot of people that have a degree or own some sort of business, and they look down on everybody that doesn't. If you have a degree, absolutely give yourself a pat on the back. You set a goal for yourself. You attained it. You deserve accolades. But if you're one of these people that is looking down on people, if you've got a degree and you're going, come on, you can do it. Go after your dream. Get up and go, get up and do it. If you're using that degree to encourage people, or you're using it just to benefit yourself in a sense, but you're treating people decently, okay, absolutely kudos to you. If, however, okay, back that up. If you meet somebody that is doing that, give them the appropriate respect that comes from attaining their dreams, from putting their mind to a dream and making it happen. Okay. On the flip side, there are those of you that have attained your degree. You've attained your mark in life. Okay. And you see it most obviously in many of the musical superstars and the actors. The actors and actresses. If you've attained that dream and now you're treating people that are not at your level of income or your level of recognition, if you're treating them as being less than you, then frankly, you might want to pull your head up and really look at things and go, are they really that different than me? If your dream is to build a business, and I was talking to somebody the other day, just yesterday, that had a dream to open a business of their own. Okay, they got the business open. Now, the fact that they opened it, there's your marker. Right there. They had a dream. They attained it. Okay, you have a dream. You attain that dream. Accolades to you. And it doesn't matter what that goal is. In my case, my goal is to break 200. Well, I've now broken the 210. I'm on a downhill swing. And I will tell you, as you start making headway, once you start seeing that dream happen, that's when things start occurring. Okay, because that's where you'll get the encouragement, the real strong encouragement. All the support people around you, it's great, and turn to them absolutely, because outside recognition is very beneficial. Now, we take a look at that. Now you look in your heart and go, what am I aiming for? If you've gone into politics, most people that go into politics go in with the idea they want to make a difference in society. Sadly, the people that are already in it have their own agendas. Everybody's got their own agenda. Okay. Like I said earlier, I have an agenda myself. Beyond just spreading this message, understanding I'm an empath. I pick up the feelings that other people go through, as well as the planet. So if you want a hidden agenda, it's not that hidden. I help people get back on track, and I don't deal with the stress that they're giving off. If I help you land on your feet, and all of a sudden you're feeling better about you, I end up feeling that better feeling. It's so much better than feeling depressed and feeling angry about everybody. And rest assured, I've still got my temper. That's something I'd like to get rid of, and I'm working on, but not as effectively as I would like. So, when people get into politics, they get in usually with the idea, or at least I like to think the primary purpose, is to help make society on the whole better for everybody. They've got these great big dreams. Some of the dreams, sometimes you'll find a politician, they go into the political field on a platform of doing something to simply appease a given group of people. Okay, the majority go in with the idea where they take on platforms that are legitimate. We need to make this happen. And they go in with the idea of changing the world, of changing that community for the better. The system, however, is built in such a way that the people that are already in there have already laid down claim to certain areas. So new politicians have a problem. How do I get in and get my single voice that nobody's heard of how do I get that voice heard to start these projects working? It takes a lot of work. It takes a staggering amount of dedication. Okay, same as it takes a lot of work and staggering dedication to attain a degree, to get your education, to get a business up and running. It's the same principle. And, the people that get elected into office, absolutely give them a pat on the back. But when that political power is being used to subjugate people, to take away their freedoms, and to make that politician look as though he is better than everybody else, when that politician starts looking down on people, this is not the person that you really necessarily, at least not in my opinion, this is not the person that you want sitting in that position of power. Now understand, the political system itself is working. Okay, the problem is not with the system. Therefore, overthrowing the system is not a good idea. Okay, the political system itself is working. But if the people that are in it are not doing their job, okay, are not doing it properly, then it is time to change that, to change the people that are in the system. Okay, now, it can be done either peaceably or it can be done with violence. I strongly urge you to maintain doing it the peaceful way. But this is not a question of overthrow. This is a question of due process. This is a question of realizing the impact and the hidden messages that are there. When we take a look at the political system itself, or for that matter, the educational system, any system at all where there's somebody at the top and there are people below. Now, all of civilization is built on a pyramid. Somebody at the top and people all the way down. Okay, spreading out consistently. This is why when people talk about pyramid schemes, I look at it going, well, the entirety of society is built on a pyramid. Okay, but absolutely, this is where now people talk about the idea that the government runs the world, runs the country. Something you got to realize: take any city of, let's just say, 100,000 people. Okay, now it was said really nicely in a movie called A Bug's Life. Okay, you take any city with, say, 100,000 people. You may have 1,000 people working directly in the government. Okay, and that's a big job. 1,000 to handle 100,000 worth of numbers. I wouldn't want to be the one handling what numbers are coming in. Although, in a sense, I'm going to have to. Not on the political arena. Okay, in my own world. But, you get 1,000 people running 100,000 people worth of a city. It doesn't matter what city, doesn't matter what government. Okay, now you think about it. Who's got the power? If they work together and the 100 people are working together, okay, they're working to run the government, to set things up that way. But who really has the power? The 1,000 people working together, or the 100,000 that right now are really badly scattered? And governments do have a tendency of doing this. They will find little odds and ends, little bits and pieces to drive a wedge between people. Because you take 100,000 people, okay, or in this case 99,000 because we take out the 1,000. If you keep them separated, this is where the concept divide and conquer comes into play. If you keep them fighting amongst each other, they're not a threat. However, when that 99,000 people start working together, there's where your real strength is. Okay, but only if it's done in a peaceable fashion. Okay, now the world is changing. We are getting this message through. And yes, I am absolutely asking for your assistance to spread this message. that we can, working together, make this a better world for most people. But it's going to take work. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. Okay, now that's the political system as society evolved. And we're going way back to the point of caveman. And if you don't believe in cavemen, take a look at some of the people walking around today. No, seriously. You don't have to believe in history. You have to believe in the here and now. Okay, because if you don't believe in the here and now, you could have a problem dealing with society at all. But when civilization first started, okay, and clans started to develop, the family unit was the easy part, but they still had a leader. Okay, as society evolved, the political arena evolved. Okay, and the justice system, which, yes, I've got my own problems with it. Okay, I can tell you all sorts of things I've seen happen. And I'm talking just this lifetime, never mind what I saw happen in previous ones. But when that 99,000 start working together, you will get a staggering amount of accomplished. I watched a Jehovah Witness Grand Hall go up one day. Okay, now it takes months to put a building up. That's because you have 3 or 4 people working on it. Okay, but when I watched the Jehovah Witnesses pitch together one day years ago, I watched them build their main hall. Now, the foundation they poured, and that just takes as long as it does for the concrete to set. The thing that was absolutely remarkable is they brought on something in excess of 100 carpenters. Carpenters or laborers. I watched them put the main walls up on this building. I watched it myself on their main hall. They were lifting the main walls at 7 minutes to a wall. This is the kind of power you have when you can motivate people to work together. Okay, this is the kind of power that you've got when you start working with your neighbors, with people that have similar goals. Okay, now the political arena knows this. The religious community knows it even more, I think. Okay, because the entirety of the religious community, when you look at their guidelines, they're all essentially teaching the same thing. Okay, they're all basically teaching you the same thing. Sadly, what they seem to be teaching is fear everything around you, including God. Well, I liked the post I saw just yesterday on Facebook, and it was a brilliant post in my eyes. God doesn't care what your religion is. God gave you freedom of choice. You can worship how you please. You can do what you will with it. God's not that worried about it. And so, no, there is no religion out there that is more important than the next. Okay, the unity that a religious group brings into an area is sometimes absolutely. It can be incredible, like I saw with the Jehovah Witness, where they work together and put the temple up. They put the main walls up in 7 minutes to a wall. And then you can have some of the radicals that are pushing for war. So you put a group of people together. You've got a choice. You can do something really constructive, as in the temple, or do something really destructive, as in causing war, in the name of what you call a peace-loving God. I'm not sure how that works out all that well, but do I believe in God? Absolutely. Just not the one that they lay out in the Bible. Okay. Because the one they lay out in the Bible has way too many human traits. Okay. But the religious community, and I mean community, I don't mean one religion in particular. I mean, on the whole, when you look at all of them, they all do essentially the same thing. They point out, this is what you should fear. If you don't do exactly what I say, then we're going to cut you out of the religion. Well, if I don't agree with you, That doesn't mean that we can't and that we cannot talk to each other. If I don't agree on one point, I've got friends that I don't see eye to eye with all the time, but we still get along great. Okay. But it's the differences that you look at. The differences are what make things interesting. The similarities are what bond people. And this is why I said I'm not talking about walking away from whatever religious belief you have, but it's time to start looking at whether or not what you're promoting is unity and peace, or are you promoting separation and fear? Your call. It is your choice, but I will tell you, even those that I've seen that have gone down. I had a client I ran into, a member of the Crips down in the States. Now, if you're in the United States, you undoubtedly have heard of the massive organization called the Bloods and the Crips. Okay, I had the pleasure of meeting a member of the Crips probably 30 years ago now that desired to get out of it but did not desire to die. He had a family. He wanted to move on with life. We managed to help him sort that around. And it really boiled down to a mindset and communication tactics. Okay, how to get the point across that, no, he still respected the Crips. He still believed in what they were doing. He just had reached a point in his life where, as he put it, that kind of organization is a young man's game. And he was, at the time, if I recall correctly, he was a little older than I am. Well, he'd be a little older than I am now, too. But at the time, he was a little older than I was. And as he put it, it was too hard of a life for him to continue with. And he had a family. He did not want his kids going down the same road. Right? So he wanted out of it. Well, we managed to get him out of it alive. Okay. And any organization that is telling you, if you try and get out, we're going to hurt you or we're going to ostracize you. Okay, an organization like that is not an organization based in peace. It's an organization based in power and control. Okay, so the religious community is doing this quite nicely. Now, this whole thing came full circle for me when I finally took a look in the mirror. Okay, and just in the last week or so went, I know where I'm standing, I know what I'm aiming for, and I'm happy to say I completed that second goal that I was looking for, the second out of 3. I found the peace of mind I was seeking. I still do not have total control over my temper. So no, I'm absolutely not in perfect shape yet. I've got a long way to go, but I made that earmark. I've got 2 out of 3 of the goals I desire to make. Now the third one's going to take me a while. Okay, because the third one's going to take me, in order to make it, I'm going to have to really work hard and figure out how to break down barriers that have been forgotten. Because for me to break that barrier, I'm 58 now, okay, and I still have to make another 60 years, essentially. I'll have to be 137. Now, the oldest person I've seen at this point, that I've seen on record on the internet, because I certainly haven't run into him here, was 119, or is 119. So I'm looking at making an extra decade beyond that. Okay, an extra 2 decades, sorry. So much for math. So that one's going to take some time, but because I've attained the 2 out of 3, they say 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Well, it's not. Okay, I'm still not happy with it. I'm still going to push to make that third. In the meantime, I've got little projects on the go. Okay, and that really boils down to taking a look at things and making certain I get them done in the right order. Because you cannot learn to write if you do not learn how to spell. Now, for me, writing is what comes, is the way things work. And I've got a lot of work to do to get the goals done that I've set out for me. But I'll tell you, taking the weight off here, and really going, I know what I'm looking for. I can now push the limits and go after really what I personally am seeking. without the worry about too much about are other people content with it. I had put some people on a pedestal around me, as I'm sure you have done. You take a look at the people around you, you look at all the trinkets they've got. You look at the fact they've got a massive house, they've got a beautiful new car, right? Something you might want to consider. Most of those places, people say, I own my own home, and they've got a mortgage that's like $150,000. I own my own place. No, you don't. You're just renting it from the bank. You're not owning it. Okay. With that kind of thinking, I could say I own my own apartment. I'm paying rent to somebody else. Okay. And that rent doesn't go down. Once you've paid for the home, now you're leasing it from the government. Okay. Yes, you've got your name on a piece of paper that says it's yours. But the reality of it is you're still paying for it in the way of land taxes in most cases. Okay. And I've yet to figure out why the churches don't pay land taxes on the places their buildings are sitting on. Because in all fairness, they're not being used for what the churches talk about for the most part. Some of the parishes absolutely do, but I've seen the massive majority where the doors are not open to the homeless. They are not taking care of the poor. Okay, and they have incredibly gaudy outlays. Okay, there was one church in town here. All it was essentially an adobe hut with a bit of a steeple. Okay, now that is a church that you look at. That's a building that at that time they didn't do a lot. They didn't put any of their money into the building. I mean, you could tell that by the state of the building. But it was a small community church that the people really were drawn to at the time because of the feeling that came out of it. Now, I'm not suggesting you walk away from whatever religion or whatever parish you're working with. I'm suggesting that when you're not there, oh, look at that, we went way too long. I'm suggesting when you're done with that side of it, absolutely go out and pass the message on that working with each other, working together, we can make this a better world. Okay, for virtually everybody. Now, I've gone way over today, but that said, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.